Hi everyone, welcome back to the another video of GNS Academy. Myself Narendra, and over here in this particular video we are going to learn about the different types of the suspension system. So guys, in every automobile we do require suspension system so that there are the irregularities of the road when an automobile moves on a particular road. Then due to the irregularity of the road, the comfort gets affected over here. So in order to give a smooth riding experience to the driver, in order to give long lasting comfort to the driver, the suspension system is required. And there are a lot of types of the suspension system, and it is implemented. Basically there are two basic types of the suspension system, that is nothing but the dependent type and independent type. Dependent type of the suspension system is dependent upon each of the wheels or an axle basically. Independent type of the suspension system does not depend upon one another. This particular bump of an single wheel doesn't get affected or doesn't get transferred to the another wheel. The movement of one wheel doesn't get affected to the another wheel due to the irregularity of the roads basically. So over here in this particular video we are going to learn about the independent type of the suspension system, which is basically for front wheels. That is nothing but there are 5 types of the independent suspension system, that is of front for the front wheels. So these are nothing but the double wishbone type of suspension system, Macphersons strut type suspension system, vertical guide type suspension system, trailing link type of suspension system, and swinging half axle type of suspension system. So guys, over here in this particular video we are going to cover all these 5 types of independent front wheel suspension system. So guys, if you are new to my education channel over here in GNS Academy, please consider subscribing, because your subscription will really motivate me to make more of such educational videos. And please press the bell icon, so whenever you press the bell icon you will receive my latest upcoming notifications. So guys, without wasting any time, let's begin with our today's topic of the different types of the front wheel type independent suspension system. So the first type of the suspension system over here in front wheel independent type of the suspension system is nothing but the double wishbone type of suspension arrangement. So over here in this particular arrangement there are 2 control arms that is having a V shape. So that's why it is called as the wishbone type. So there are 2 control arms, that is of lower wishbone and the upper wishbone arm. So these 2 arms are pivoted to the chassis frame at one end, and the other end is connected to the stub axle. So over here in this type of the suspension arrangement, the shock absorber and the coil spring is fixed between the lower control arm, and the upper control arm is connected to the body frame over here. So when a wheel experiences a bump, the shock absorber coil spring will get compressed and it will damp the vibrations over here. So that is nothing but the just overall construction of this double wishbone type of the suspension system. So guys, as you can see, this is the representation of this double wishbone type of the suspension system. It is suitable for the front wheels, and this type of the suspension arrangement is quite complex. There are a lot of parts over here. As you can see over here, there are a lot of parts. So this will due to that the overall weight of the automobile will increase. So guys, that was just construction of this double wishbone type of the suspension arrangement. So let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of this particular arrangement. So advantages is that it provides a good amount of the comfort to the driver while driving. It will give you the greater amount of the feasibility. It won't lose the traction of the wheels. It will give you the good amount of the stability while driving at more comfort. So that is the major advantage over here in this case type of the suspension system. And the major advantage is over that it will provide you the good amount of the suspension ratios over here. A technician can adjust the camber, caster and toe. These are the suspension geometries that can be that can provide a good amount of the stability to the wheels basically. So this type of the suspension arrangement can be done over here in this case of the the wishbone type of the arrangement. So that is the added advantage over here. So the disadvantage is that as it gives you the good riding, good quality of the experience, it will give you the it will also implement more cost. The cost while designing, while implementing is on the higher side. Also, the maintenance of this type of the suspension arrangement is on the higher side. The cost of implementation is on the higher side. Also, the replacement of the each part, it will implement you the cost also. Also, there is a disadvantage is that low height of an automobile. So that is the another disadvantage of this particular type of the suspension arrangement. So moving ahead, next is nothing but the Macphersons strut type of the suspension arrangement. So this type of the suspension arrangement is very commonly used and this is very simple basically. So over here in this case of Macphersons strut type of the suspension arrangement, there is only lower control arm is used. The lower wishbone arm is used. The upper wishbone arm gets removed over here, and this particular lower wishbone arm is hinged to the chassis frame, and the other end of this lower wishbone arm is connected to the strut, and this particular strut is connected to the stub axle, and the top side of the strut there is a arrangement of the coil spring and the shock absorber. So this particular strut is again gets connected to the body structure. So that was the construction of this Macpherson strut type of the arrangement. As you can see over here, this is the typical representation. So this is how a Macpherson strut type of the suspension arrangement looks like. So whenever the automobile experiences a bump, the wheel gets upward, so that wheel moves upwards, and it will change the camber angle. So over here the camber angle gets changed, and the wheel gets moved upwards, and it compresses the shock absorber and the coil spring which is there, and it will damp the vibration. So this is how the suspension arrangement works in Macpherson strut type. So now let's talk about the advantages of the over here. The advantage is that it is it consumes less amount of the space, so that's why it is mostly suitable for the front wheel drive car. So over here in front wheel drive cars, the more space for the engine is required, so that's why this particular type of the suspension arrangement is suitable for the front wheel drive cars. Also, this particular type of the suspension system is very much simpler type of the suspension system. The cost is very much on the lesser side, so this is the reason the maintenance is also on the lesser side. The maintenance is very flexible, very cheap, and also as this type of the suspension system is contains less number of the parts, so that's why the total weight of the automobile gets reduces, and you will get the more acceleration over here. The more acceleration, the disadvantage is that it will not give you the comfort while driving as that in case of the double wishbone type, but over here you will get some sort of the good amount of the experience, but not as in case of the double wishbone. Also, the stability of the vehicle, it will lose the stability of the vehicle as it is having the less unsprung weight. It carries the less unsprung weight, so that's why it will lose the stability while driving, while cornering. It will give you the less amount of the traction. So that is the major disadvantage of this type of the suspension arrangement. But this type of the suspension arrangement is most commonly used in a lot of cars. So moving ahead, next is nothing but the vertical guide type of the suspension system. So this type of the suspension arrangement is quite simple. The representation is very much simple over here. So as you can see, there are the two rods at the bottom. We are having the cross member, and on that particular cross member, kingpin and the steering knuckle is connected. So on that particular kingpin, the steering knuckle is there on both the sides, and this particular steering knuckle is connected to the stub axle of the wheels. So, and on that particular steering knuckle, the arrangement is there, that is of the shock absorber and the coil spring arrangement is provided. And on that particular coil spring, the upper spacing rod is kept. So that is nothing but the overall, like the construction. As you can see over here, this is the overall construction of this vertical guide type suspension system. So as you can see, there are the vertical two kingpins are there, and the guide, that is of the upper spacing rod, is provided. So this is the reason it is called as the vertical guide type suspension system. So over here in this type of the suspension system, so when a wheel experiences a bump over here, so on both the sides, the coil spring gets compressed and the shock absorber gets compressed. So it will give you a smoother ride experience to the driver. So that all the vibrations gets damped over here, and it will give you the good amount of the experience, and it will give you the good riding experience. So let's talk about some of the advantages and the disadvantages over here. The advantage is that the design is quite simpler, so that is the less cost, it is economical, and the initial implementation cost is very less. The major disadvantage over here is that the wheel is like directly connected to this particular like the ground levels. Hence there is more traction, and ultimately while cornering the vehicle will lose traction. Also the distance between the two wheels changes, as these two wheels moves at one time. So the movement of the wheels are relative to one another. So ultimately it decreases the stability of the vehicle. So that was about the vertical guide type suspension system. So moving ahead, next is nothing but the trailing link type of the suspension system. So over here, in the case of the trailing link type of the suspension system, there is a torsional spring is there. Torsional spring. This particular torsional spring is connected to the trailing link at one end, and at the other end it is connected to the frame of that particular automobile. The trailing link is connected to the stub of the wheel. So due to that particular trailing link, the wheel is connected, shaft of the wheel is connected, and when that particular wheel experiences a bump, so that the wheel gets moved upward and downward, like the vertical movement of the wheel will occur, and due to that vertical movement and the linkage, the torsional spring gets it gets winds and unwinds. So due to the vertical movement of the wheel, the torsional gets added in that particular spring. So this is how the trailing link type of the suspension system works. And in some cases, this particular coil spring gets replaced by this torsion bar. So this is how the simpler trailing link type of the suspension system works. And the advantage of the trailing link is that it is very cheap, reliable, and easy to maintain. Maintenance is very much easy over here. The disadvantages is that when the wheel move upward and driveward, the distance between the two front wheels and the rear wheels changes. So this is the reason ultimately the stability gets affected while driving. So ultimately the driver won't get a good amount of the riding experience over here in this case of the suspension arrangement. So the last type of the suspension arrangement is nothing but the swinging half axle type of the suspension arrangement. As guys, the name says that swinging half axle, the wheels are rigidly mounted on the half axles on both the sides, and this particular axle is connected to a particular chassis which is located at the center of the vehicle. So this particular chassis is rigid and the axles are in a swinging type. Also there are the coil springs and the shock absorber arrangement is there, which is connected to the chassis frame. So now when a wheel experiences a bump, the wheel gets lifted upwards, and it will causes that particular axle to swing at a particular amount of the degrees. So when a wheel experiences a bump, it will move upwards and it will cause that particular axle to swing at a particular angle. So this is the reason this particular swinging type of the mechanism, swinging half axle, is having a less amount of stability, as the axle is there and it is there in swinging type. So this provides the less amount of the stability. Also the camber angle over here gets affected. Also there is major disadvantages that due to the vertical movement of this wheels, okay, the wheel does not remain perpendicular to the road. The camber angle will get affected, and ultimately when the camber angle gets affected, the stability of the automobile gets affected and the vehicle will lose traction. So guys, that was all about this 5 types of the independent front wheel type of suspension system. So guys, so far we have seen the double wishbone type of the suspension system, Macphersons strut type of suspension system, vertical guide type of suspension system, swinging half axle type of suspension system, and trailing link type of suspension system. So guys, I hope you like my video. If you're having any doubts, any queries, please leave a comment, and please do subscribe to my educational channel Engineers Academy. Thank you so much guys for watching this video.